This was a good episode. So far, I am enjoying it. It's just that the action just keeps coming and it's not slowing down. Even when you think it's slowed down, there's like more stuff coming. It's kind of like Sweet Home, where episode one is kind of like an introduction, and then after that, it just builds up a little bit, and then once the action starts, it moves forward and there's no slowing down. So I like it. Um, with this review, I'm not going to jump back and forth between locations because that's what this episode did. It jumped back between the high school and the hospital. So when I'm reviewing, I'm going to stick to one location, and once I'm done, I'm going to go to the other one. So first, let's start at the high school. So while at the high school, Hwa-sun, she informed Taehan that there is something more to the smoke. It's not just a regular black smoke that's going to infect other people. Because once she saw someone who had the black smoke in her, she saw that worm-looking thing. And she said to Taehan that there's something inside that black smoke. And my thought is maybe the black smoke is some sort of sperm and it needs a host, as in human beings, for this worm type of thing to be born. So once the person gets infected with the smoke, emotions, they get suppressed, they attacked, and then once the time comes, I guess the worm inside them comes out. That's just a theory. Now we're still at the school, Hwa-sun and JinSeok, the bully. So they were trying to lure out the infected, to keep them in a room, and to have them trapped in there. So what Hwa-sun did, make some noise, have them chase after her. Inside a room, she fights some of them to try to trap them. But then JinSeok, he closes and locks the other door. He locks the main one that they entered, and then there's another door, and he locks that one. And all he does is just smiles and laughs a bit while Hwa-sun is being attacked by these infected people. And at the same time, she's trying to fight them off. And all he does, again, just laughs and he just walked away. I'm like, dude, this guy's going to get it. And it's pretty obvious because of that type of character, he's going to be infected, which we do see later on where he's in the bathroom and he got scratched, he got cut, and he's pretty much worrying, he's panicking, and we know he's going to change. So while Hwa-sun is trying to fight these infected, she managed to escape. There were, I think, 2 of the infected on her, and then she kind of threw one of them out the window, and then she was hanging from the window, and then, well, in the end, she managed to escape. Here's the thing, though. I think you have to be a strong person to resist the infection. I mean, she was infected. We saw the black smoke go inside Hwa-sun in the first episode, but she kind of resisted. So pretty much, she didn't let her emotions get the best of her. I can't say the same thing about the other people. And then fast forward, we got Seung Tae and Dong-rin. They were trying to get some medicine. They got attacked. Of course, JinSeok didn't do anything. He got scared and ran off. But in the end, they fought the infected. And then they got chased by more. And then they got saved by Hwa-sun. And pretty much what happened after that was Seung Tae, he went back to go get medicine. And for Dong-rin and Hwa-sun, they actually went to the auditorium part of the school, locked the door, blocked it, did whatever they could just to hide for now. I'm gonna stop there because I have to talk about the hospital part, which does lead to the ending, which does relate to the ending at the school, but don't worry, I'll get to that. So at the hospital, Taehan and 2 security guards, well, first, they're trying to find one of the security guards' wife. So they're walking around, they're armed with weapons. First, they get chased by a black smoke, and then they find somewhere to hide, and then the black smoke goes back into the vent. So they're safe for now. And then fast forward, we have the security guard. Well, I should put that in quotes. The security guard is the same guy who came into the hospital with handcuffs. The criminal who is a rapist and a murderer. So he pretty much leads the patients into another room, but then they get attacked. And pretty much the only 2 people that survived was the security guard and the patient. But it's not until later on where one of the patients went to the parking garage, hid inside a van while she was being chased by an infected security guard, I think. she doesn't find out until later that one of the security guard is actually a criminal, the rapist and the murderer, who disguised himself as a security guard. Now let's get to the ending scene. Well, before the restricted area part. So, at the hospital, Taehan finds someone who is dead, face covered with a white cloth and a needle still in their neck. And we get a little bit of a flashback to when Hwasun told Taehan that the murderer who killed her husband puts a white cloth over his head and injected her husband in the neck, whatever it was that the murderer injected. And switches back to the school and we see Dongrin with a white cloth over her head, which kind of confused me a bit. But what also made it even more confusing, but also suspicious, was when Dongrin showed her bracelet, and they made it very suspicious for some reason. But that made me remember, didn't the murderer in episode 1 was wearing a bracelet? I'm not saying the female student, well, the female high school student is a murderer. I'm not saying she is, but I'm not going to rule it out. Or can the murderer just flat out be the shaman? I mean, technically she is the murderer of the entire nation, but yeah, so confused there. Then after that, then we get to the very last scene in the restricted area at the hospital. So some elderly person is being infected, but then there's another person with a needle injected them with something. I'm so confused on that part, but I do know one thing. Someone is doing experiments here, and I don't know what's happening. I pretty much talked about the gist of the entire episode, but I do not want to leave out the shaman. So here's what's weird. The shaman, we saw her praying in front of a black orb. Cuts to a next scene, she's praying in front of a painted black circle. And what makes it even more weird is that when people were trying to get her prayers, she puts a black circle into their arm. Well, she kind of just puts the black ink on their arm in a circle, which is really weird. And I guess that's her way of having their emotions get the best of them so they get infected. Maybe there's a possibility. But for Hwasun, yeah, she's a strong woman. So her emotions is not getting the best of her. So she's not transforming like everyone else. So I think it's pretty obvious that she's going to be the link to our main cast having a good ending and beating the shaman. But yeah, just, oh man, that's pretty much the gist of the episode. It was just action after action. If I reviewed every action in this episode, this review will probably be 20 minutes long. I mean, a lot happened, but it was just mostly them running away, them fighting against the infected. I pretty much cleared out the main points of the episode. But if there's anything I might have missed, please leave it in the comments below. Again, I'm liking this drama. It does remind me of Sweet Home, definitely. With the infected, they're not zombies. The emotions is getting the best of them. Yeah, pretty much like Sweet Home. So anyway, if you guys like this video, leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe. See ya.